Oi oi, here we go with the old May issue. It's normally a fantastic month for fishing, but yeah, this year hasn't been super kind to me. Unfortunately, the old game was over this week because they started spawning on long reach, so I'll give that a few weeks before I get back on that campaign. And yeah, it's an important thing at this time of year. If you do turn up at the lake and they are spawning, you should really be leaving them to it and going elsewhere. Once a year, you know, it's not a lot to ask, is it, to give them that little bit of rest whilst they have their sexy tans. Right, got a great show lined up for you. Super guesty on a mega lake with Richie Leat, which was nice to meet him and enjoy a session with him. And then all the usual goodness, a few little stories. My diary's back after a little gap last month. So yeah, sit back, enjoy the show, and once again, massive thanks to all of you who contribute towards it. Big up yourselves. Yo, 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 well, first of all, you'll have to excuse the glasses, but I've got very tired eyes. I've been up since dawn's crack, and yeah, I only had about 4 hours sleep because I was too excited about the prospects of coming to this mega lake, which I've been invited to today. The stocking here is pretty much ridiculous. I think we're talking like 3 50-pounders at the right time of year, 25 plus 40-pounders at the right time of year, and quite a good head of 30s as well. So yeah, as you can imagine, I'm absolutely buzzing at the prospect of fishing this lake. So one of the things that I put out on social media in the past was, who would you like to see on carp angle? And quite often we'd get people say, look, we'd like to see some anglers who haven't been in the media so much, you know. Obviously there's lots of really good anglers across the country who've never done anything in magazines or any kind of film content for anyone. So I'm always keeping an eye out on Instagram for anyone who kind of stands out, you know, catching particularly nice fish. And last year I noticed a guy called Richie Leat was catching some absolutely mega carp. So I dropped him a message, said, oh Rich, how you doing? Yeah, where's this lake you're fishing? Because, you know, it looks insane. And he said, well, you know, told me where it was. He said, look, if you fancy coming down for a guest sometime, be more than happy to have you down here. So it's taken about a year for us to sort it out, but finally I'm here. Bit of a change in the old weather conditions, to be honest. Like, we've just had 3 weeks of beautiful, glorious sunshine. Now winter has returned. Today's not too bad. There's a bit of a cool northerly wind blowing, but tomorrow we've got 40-mile-an-hour northerlies. Wind temperatures of -6. Tell you what, I'm not looking forward to that. So yeah, hopefully we'll be on the back of the wind tomorrow, nice and comfortable. But for now, like I said, I pulled up, said hello to Rich, said, right, I'm just going to have a quick look about, see if I can find some fish. Yeah, I have actually just seen one out here about 30 yards out, so that'll do for me. Let's go and see Rich, catch up with him quickly, and then I'll get some rods out myself. Oi, oi.
Yeah, how's that, Joe? Didn't take long, did it?
Well, I've just had a 4-hour journey driving down to the south coast. Been here 10 minutes, and Rich has pulled it out of the bag already. Good skills, mate.
Finding them, getting on them, get some boilies over them.
So you got here quite early, did you?
I did, yeah. Well, actually, not too early. Stopped at Mecca's, had some grub.
Bit of muck poison.
Yeah. It's just too easy, isn't it? Go to the drive-through. But yeah, got here, walked around the lake, and it was clear the fish were where this rod went. The water was a different colour. They were stirring it up. And yeah, it's come good pretty quick, hopefully. But it's just one of them lakes that every time you hook one, it makes your knees tremble, sort of. Because it could be anything. So nice to get here and just put a boilie straight through some bait floss and cast it out. All winter it's been maggots, which is just
Yeah, it gets pretty annoying at times, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Dirty and bloody flies in your car.
I wouldn't have been able to do nothing with maggots where I seen the fish were when I turned up. Just wouldn't have been able to get maggots on top of them without, without sort of spooking the water, disturbing the water. And this has worked because I've cast over there, I've stopped it, I've got a drop that's good enough for me, and I've used my boilie stick, gone round to that bank, and I've just skimmed the boilies over my rigs, and they've made no noise when they land. I was saying to you, Joe, if I used the catapult, I don't think I would have got a bite so quick, because the noise of them landing out of catapult would have just pushed them away. It's a carp nonetheless.
He's a carp, mate. That's what matters. Takes the pressure off a bit as well, eh?
Probably one of the smallest in the lake, but
Awesome.
good start, Joe.
Skills. There you go.
Hopefully we can just pop the old hook out.
Right, there we go. First one of the trip.
Yeah.
Within 10 minutes of me arriving at the lake.
Finding where the fish are and just getting a rig on them, a little bit of bait, and hopefully one of the better ones come along, Joe. But
Awesome.
You can't pick, can you? And it's a nice start.
Well,
Definitely got the legs going.
we know what's in here. You've definitely wetted my whistle with your photos, and even we've heard a couple of big ones bosh since I've arrived, haven't we?
They've been active, so hopefully one of the rods will go off. But
Sweet. Well, 48 hours to go. Let's have it.
let's do it.
Well, that was a nice little start, wasn't it? Rich said that's probably the smallest one in the lake, or potentially one of them. So a little bit unlucky with the size, but them smaller ones are quite often the rarer ones, they don't get noticed as much. And so I said to him, no mate, that's a result, you've had a result. Right, I've got some rods out now. I've just flicked out 3 singles in this swim here, which is 2 down from Rich, for next couple of hours before I start sort of making disturbance and finding a spot and putting some bait out there. I've seen 2 fish out in this zone now, so I thought, right, singles, spinners, the old lethal IB pop-ups, spring winners, hopefully anyway. We'll give it a go, like I said, the next couple of hours, and then get sorted for the night, because Rich has told me they like a bit of bait in here. He said he wouldn't think anything of putting like 60 spoms out for a night's fishing, and even at this time of year. So yeah, they're obviously big carp that like a bit of bait, and if you can get them on it, then chance of a few bites. Exciting stuff. Awesome, well, that was a nice little start, mate.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, very good.
Well, first of all, thanks for inviting me down.
No worries, Joe, you're welcome. We've been talking about it for a little bit, haven't we? Via text here and there and trying to get one sorted, but yeah, it's nice.
Shame we ended up being the return of winter, but we'll make the most of it, won't we?
I think that for the fishing sort of times, they're definitely not going to be up floating around like solar panels like they were last week. They're down, and yeah.
I mean, after sort of 3 weeks of warm weather, and like you say, not doing a lot, just swimming about, you'd think they'd be up for a good month, really, wouldn't you?
They've been active, and they were active last week, up on the top, swimming around everywhere.
And the pressure's dropping, isn't it? This is the first bit of low pressure we've had for, again, like 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's one of them lakes here. There's so many big fish in there, and you can come down here on the most perfect conditions, low pressure, southwesterly wind, and when you feels real good, and nothing. You won't get a bite. And you can be, you know, at the highest pressure, the coldest conditions, and they're like crawling up the line. It just goes to show it's not.
You said to me on the phone, didn't you? Colder the better.
Yeah, and again, one's just nutted out over there, and not far from the old rig. But it's just such an exciting lake, and again, just come out. It's not far from the rods. Yeah, you know, if you get down here and you can find where the fish are, you can, like we've, you know, like it happens, you can catch them. But they do move off you quick, so you've got to be on your game if you want to catch them. You've got to be on your toes. You've got to move with them. So I stay quite active. Another one that's even shorter.
It's going off.
I know.
And from what I've seen of the lake, it's, you know, you've got a nice bit of variety, and what you've said about the depths, you know,
it's got everything.
Different depths, lots of snags, and
yeah,
obviously, you know,
deep margins with snags, shallower margins again with more snags. You've got gravel plateaus, you've got deeper holes. It has got everything, and every kind of, you know, you can, if you, a bit of watercraft and you find the carp, see where the bubbles, you know, mid-water bubbles, if you can fish to what you feel, once just puts that out short here, you can catch them, which is it's lovely. It's got the fish in there that it has, and it's so quiet. I think those guys are packing up. We'll have the lake to ourselves, Joe.
Lovely jubbly.
It will be nice.
Sweet. All right. Well, yeah.
Be moving around.
What's that? Sorry.
Be ready to move around because it's like with the wind. We've got some big winds coming in. I think we'll end up down there.
You'd think they'd back off of that cold wind, wouldn't you? But who knows? I mean, carp are so unpredictable, aren't they?
No, exactly.
Like you said, you know.
That's why you love it.
That's why you got to keep your eyes on the water, innit? Not on the camera.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, oh, there's another one. That's just classic. Yeah, that's me. I do. Yeah, it's lovely. It's a nice break for me.
So, what's your sort of plan for tonight then, Rich? Because obviously you fished this water for 6 years. You know it extremely well. You've had some, you know, really good hits out of it. So I'm intrigued to know how you're targeting these fish now.
With how I would tend to, so how I sort of play it today, I've walked the lake. You always have kind of a preconceived sort of idea of where they might be on conditions. And that, to me, this morning, wasn't where I went and looked first. And I spent a good 40 minutes down that end of the lake. I didn't see one fish. And I come up here, I didn't see a fish, I just seen the colour of the water. So to me, that was, needed to get a rod out there. So, but today, over there, it's the shallower part of the lake. They move off with the pressure being fished for. So, but sometimes they don't, you know. They don't. They could stay up there all night, and it's one of them just getting it right. You know, you ought to be fishing where the fish are, even 6, 7 o'clock. If we see anything down there, I think that would be the place to go, with fishing for them up here all day. It just depends, Joe, what they do, what the conditions are tonight. We have got a 40-mile-an-hour northerly winds coming tomorrow, which will be right into our face. So,
not the conditions you choose to be in an angler.
Not on the end of. Hey? But if they stay where they are, we'll be here.
So
we'll be up here. It all depends.
You mentioned that, you know, normally going into night time, you give them a good bit of grub.
Yeah.
Is that the plan tonight?
Yeah. Today I know the fish are there. Just putting a little bit of bait on them, skimming boilies across the water so I can pick up bites. But tonight, even if I fish up here, down there, it'll be a nice, you know, I'll put out a good 40, 50 spawns. Sounds a lot, but there's a lot of big fish in there, and they are quite shoaly. When they're together, feeding, they're really, you know, a bucket of bait sometimes isn't enough.
Well, they obviously haven't got that big on naturals.
No, they haven't. A lot of food does go in there. It's but again, you know, you can put out loads of bait, and they're not getting on that spot, and not far away from where you're fishing. If one comes up and you can put a single on it or a zig, and it'll go off. It's just, I think through being fishing it for 6 years, you're quite involved with the environment more than what you are guessing. It's kind of going on what you know, worked for you before, and you just become sort of with nature of the lake, if that makes sense. I think you do.
Fully tuned
You
in.
know it more, so you kind of, you want to active. I just being active. That's what we'll be, Joe. Staying nice and active.
Sounds good.
11, 12 o'clock at night moves. Because if they start jumping at night time, I do move in the middle of the night.
-6 wind chill factor.
That's when they'll go. When it gets brutal. Cold wind, 40 mile an hour. It's lovely over there as well. We'll have a big bank behind us. We'll be nice and sheltered.
Fire.
Nice fire. Got plenty of wood.
Plenty of food.
Plenty
Man
of food.
versus food.
That's good. Sounds nice.
Right then, just got a bit of bait out there, probably about 25 medium-sized spons. That felt like enough to get a couple of bites from, and I think also with that wind that's due tomorrow, there's a good chance we're going to be moving in the morning. So I don't feel like I'm trying to get a spot going for 2 nights. It's just like an overnighter, if you like. So yeah, I've just gone on Richie's advice really. Obviously, normally when I go to a lake doing my own fishing, I wouldn't really ask anyone anything, but when you come to these sort of places for a couple of days, it's good to get some info, you know. Obviously, we're here to try and make a nice feature, and if I was to blank, then it's not as fun, is it? Certainly not for me anyway. So anyway, got a nice spot out there, big sort of clear gravel area. Rich said, you know, they've got no problem feeding on the gravel, give them a good bit of bait. I'm going to put all 3 rods in the same zone, and what Rich tends to do is not recast once he's caught one when he's fishing 3 rods on a spot like that. So he'll just leave that in until he's got no rods left on the spot, then he'll recast them. Obviously that's to prevent spooking any ones that are still in the area. Right, with regards to rigs, 3 different ones here hanging in front of me, as you can see. We've got 2 spinners, one a shorter one, which is kind of what I'd normally generally use when fishing over bits and bobs. The mix I've put out is hemp, there's a few maggots in there, there's a load of 10mm cell, some 15mm cell, obviously a load of smart liquid, and a bit of maize and a little bit of sweet corn. So yeah, lots of little bits and pieces. And I think when they're feeding on small bits and pieces, generally, you know, they're not moving about as much. It's not like they're fishing over a spread of boilies. So that's the rig I'd normally use in that kind of situation. However, there are a lot of big fish in here, and you know, big fish, because of the shape of them, the way they feed, etc. They can be quite sort of muggy to a pop-up, can't they, big carp? So this one's a bit more blatant, a bit more in your face. Here I am, have me if you want me. And a slightly longer hook link on that one as well, just to allow it to have a little bit of movement. Again, you know, if they're sort of feeding sort of a few inches off the bottom, then that's got a bit more play in it to go up into their mouth, whereas this one is pinned to the bottom with putty here in the middle, and then putty here by the swivel, and also the ring swivel on the hook is up near the eye of the hook as opposed to further up the shank. And what I find is that kind of sits over a little bit lower, you know, it's not trying to sit high off the bottom, so perfect for presenting over small bits and bobs. And then last but not least, the old usual Joey solid bag setup, very short hook link, tiny little 8mm pop up, and that's going to go in a little bag with a bit of crumb, bit of ground bait and a bit of smart liquid. So yeah, 3 different things on the spot. I like to play around like that when I'm fishing in that kind of way, because you know, sometimes obviously one thing will work better than others, but sometimes it's just a case of, you know, you've got different fish, different characters, they feed differently, they're different shapes, so they're forced to feed differently. They might have a preference, you know, some might prefer smaller baits over bigger baits, etc, etc. So yeah, I like to play about, and it just makes it a little bit more interesting, doesn't it? Right, anyway, let's get these rods out there and try and catch one of these whackers. Happy days, right, I'm happy with all of them. They all went out nicely. Well, actually the third one didn't, took 2 casts, that one. Just because the line got frapped up around the rings on the way out there. But yeah, it all went down nice. Nice bit of bait out there. Fit for the kings and the queens of the lake. Can chill out a bit now. It's like I said, I've been up since 4 o'clock, and I think I only got about 4 hours, and then it was 4 hours driving, and yeah, ain't really stopped. So time to get the kettle on, sit back, enjoy the view, and pray to the carp gods. Chicken curry on the go, cooked it last night, made with love, smells amazing. Gonna have that with a bit of bread. I think that might be a starter, to be honest with you, because we're both Hank Marvin and Richie's getting a fire on the go. We're gonna have a little barbecue before winter returns. It's not, oh, go in the middle, Rod. Oh, there's a bird out there. Yeah, it's not too bad at the moment actually. It's still yeah, it's still fairly mild, and the wind's not too strong either, so yeah, no complaints here at the moment. And also, I put in a little request for the universe to get rid of these 40-mile-an-hour northerlies, and it looks, oh, that's right, isn't it? Oh, it's a bloody bird. Shh. Shh. That's not ideal. We don't like that, do we? Well, luckily that was the spinner rig, so that should have reset itself, but yeah, it definitely picked that up off the bottom. Oh, blooming things. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, wind. So, put in a request for the universe, and it looks like it's answered. It's now down to 20 mile an hour tomorrow. Still going to be like a wind chill of -3 or something tonight, but nowhere near as bad as it was going to be, so good skills, universe. I like your style. Keep it up. We'll have some sunshine tomorrow and 20 degrees. That might be pushing me luck. Well, top of the morning to you. It is positively freezing, or should I say negatively freezing. Oh, it's like -3 or -4 wind chill factor. Cold northerly blowing straight in your face. I've got my bivvy twisted around at a bit of an angle, obviously, but that means that I can't see most of the lake, so I wraps myself in my sleeping bag cover and yeah, sitting here suffering in the cold. Not seen anything yet. I've seen some tent show. No carp, no activity last night. Don't think Richie's had anything. I ain't seen him this morning yet, but yeah, so nothing too amazing to report. But spirits are still high. Plenty of big fish in here. Just got to work out how to catch them. They don't seem to be up to much this morning, but if I was a carp, I don't think I'd be up to much this morning either. Yeah, the back of the wind's looking rather inviting at the moment. Not just for the comfort factor, but I can imagine that they might have sort of moved back on the wind a bit. But we'll see what happens this morning. Don't like winter, I'm not a fan. Come back spring, I miss you already. Well, I'll tell you what, mate, it's a different world round here, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So yeah, after a couple of hours of sitting on the end of that brutally cold wind this morning, I was like, Rich, can we move?
The forecast changing, saying it was like 20 mile an hour winds. Wake up and they're 40 mile an hour north winds, freezing cold.
And it was only going to get colder, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like wind chill of -5 later on, and hailstorms,
and we've come round here and we've got a nice big bank there behind us, keeping us a bit sheltered.
Another fire later.
It's a different day, yeah. Nice fires, plenty of wood from the storms to burn.
But on the fishing front, we did see a couple of fish over
down
here.
this way. So
I'd seen a couple sort of in a similar area earlier on this morning. So yeah, it felt like it was the right move, didn't it? There wasn't much showing
Definitely,
where we were.
yeah,
Although you
no,
did see one just as you were reeling in, didn't you?
yeah, it could have been a tench, but I was happy to get over. It's so much warmer. It's nice, you know. You got to be comfortable when you're fishing. It's horrible sitting on the end of that wind.
Yeah. It's like, well, I ended up, because of the way I had my bivvy this morning, I ended up sitting outside my bivvy on my chair to actually get a view of the lake, but then sitting there with my sleeping bag cover over me.
I was crouched around like that.
You were cuddling a hot water bottle.
Yeah, it lives with me.
But now, like I say, we're on the back of the wind, we can watch the lake comfortably, and hopefully there's a few fish about.
Yeah, I've quite fancied flicking a couple of zigs out there, definitely. The birds are active. Well, saying that, they've completely all disappeared for now.
They were, yeah. There was a lot of hatch on the water yesterday as well, wasn't there?
Yeah, up the top in the evening on the still water, all the like the flies where they've hatched, you can see it all on the top. And the birds, they have been busy. So little black zig out there, chop up a black boilie.
Cool. Right, well, we'll carry watching the water for a little bit, and hopefully one of them will give us a sign. And
Joe can choose where to go.
bless you.
Yeah, you've got a bag one, mate. I'm confident down here. I am.
Yeah, it feels good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We have liftoff.
We do. And it didn't take long. 10 and a 5 foot zig, Joe. And
Is that about 20 minutes?
Yeah, and it's the 5 foot that's gone off, so I play him a bit weird when I've got him on a zig. I don't really reel him in with the rod. I just walk back and hold the spigot, just purely because I can feel everything through this hand on like holding the spigot with the rod. Holding it by there and just walking back. I don't really do anything with the rod standing there pulling. It's not that adrenaline, it's not the strongest stuff, but they can't see it in the water, so it's in weed. And again, if it goes in the weed, you can just prise it through it rather than putting all that pressure on the line through your rod.
Well, I won't lie, you're hard work to film like this.
It's hot, mate. I bet it, yeah, sorry, mate.
Trying to keep focus, back forward. Oh, another bleep.
Cool, that's a nice fish.
Yeah, I think we're due a bit of a hailstorm. Just starting to get a little bit full on me now. How's it looking, mate?
Yeah, I think it's a nice fish.
It's a hairy bit, squeaky bum moments.
The lead's still there as well, I think, which is not the nicest. Just been.
Oh yeah, it's a lovely scaly one, mate. Oh, I've got. Oh.
You got a fish on, mate? Is that a drop back? That'll be a fish.
Oh, yeah, we're in.
Slippery.
Wow, man, what a carp. That's incredible.
Worth the move, mate.
That is
20 minutes, 2.6, 10 and a 5, and 5 foot went off. What
mate.
a result.
This really is carp Mecca.
Freezing our butts off all morning, thinking about the move, and we did. And you've got an absolute banging commenter photo as well, Joe.
Mega.
Whilst this one was being reeled in, turned out to be a mega morning, didn't it, mate?
Awesome. Yeah, thank you very much.
No, thank you, Joe. Loved it.
Wicked.
This is the prize.
Proper gem.
Look at that. Lovely.
Wow, we came here for some mega carp and some mega carp we've had. That one that Richie just had, incredible mirror. And look at this for a prime example of an awesome common, mega shape, awesome colours, great condition, and a very happy Joey. Sweet. Right, I'm gonna have a quick snap of this one because it's such a lovely carp, and then time for a coffee because we've not even had a coffee this morning yet. Well overdue. Happy days. Well, I tell you what, I can't tell you how thankful I am for this high bank behind us. It's been an absolute day saver. Glorious in the sunshine, bitterly cold in the wind. Right, just getting sorted ready for this evening. Had a little flick around with the lead. Rich said there's a bit of a shelf out there, so managed to find that. Sort of the top of it seems to be just to the left of the swim opposite me, and then it starts to gradually drop off. So I'd say it's about 10 foot on the top of it, and then you go a rod length or so to the right, and it's probably a couple of foot deeper, and then a couple of rod lengths to the right, probably another couple of foot deeper again. So spread a little bit of bait along that area, clipped up at the same range, and I'm just going to fish 3 different depths. Not a lot of bait. I think I put about 4 spoms out, simplified the mix a little bit, just gone down to cell and a bit of sweet corn and the old smart liquid, of course. And then I'm going to fish bottom baits as well, because I don't know why, but I really think I miss out on bites because of fishing pop-ups at night. I've never caught a huge amount on pop-ups at night, and I just think that we could be missing out on opportunities. So going back to the old simple bottom bait rig, knotless knot, size 8 Kamakura, 12 inches of soft supernatural braid, and 3 ounce lead on a lead clip. Quite a long hair as well, loads of movement. So obviously it's kind of goes against what a lot of people are using these days as well. Everyone's on very stiff booms and pop-ups and whatever else. So yeah, this is making the bait acts really natural, like we kind of used to always try and do. Hopefully that's going to make the difference, but obviously it's mostly about being on the fish, and haven't actually seen any show recently, but I feel like we are in a much better zone for tonight than we were last night, so hopefully going to produce the goods. Oh, what I forgot to say is that there's a free bait stringer going on this as well, because obviously the nature of that is that it's highly likely to tangle, so free bait stringer on there should stop any of that business. Well, this is alright, isn't it? It's like, come dine with me, come guest with me.
Yeah.
I think Scott Lloyd thinks I need to put on a bit of weight, because he's sent us a selection of meaty goodness.
Yeah, there's a lot of food there. I'm starving, mate.
Good job too. We've got chicken breasts, we've got pork chops, we've got, what are these? Chicken kebabs.
Chicken kebab sticks.
They definitely look flavoursome, don't they? We've got steak, we've got ribs, I don't know, sausages. Are we going to get through with this?
I reckon we will.
Failing that, we've got a
I'll give it a good
breakfast of champions, haven't we?
Yeah,
If not,
them sausages. Damn hot.
Mega. Ah, well, we're
It's
sitting
been going all afternoon.
sitting in the last bit of sunshine that's coming through the trees there, watching the lake, smelling this awesome bit of grub, and in anticipation of a chunk tonight potentially.
I hope so. It does look good for it. Like they like that slack water. Oh, there you go.
Is that a tench maybe? But
Maybe.
even so, it's exactly the area that we're talking about, isn't it? It's interesting that, isn't it, actually, because you mentioned it yesterday that it's quite often something you've noticed on here, and I've certainly noticed it on other waters, and I know for a fact that fly anglers as well, they pay a lot of attention to that line, yeah, where the wind stops, on the back of the wind, the crease or whatever you'd want to call it. But yeah, it must be something to do with a build-up of natural food, for whatever reason it is. Answers on a postcard, if you know the answer, or just write them in the comments below. That's probably a little bit easier. Well, mate, top skills on the fire. Like I say, I mentioned earlier, it's like come dine with me, innit? I'll come guest with me, and fire skills have been mega. Cooking the old barbecue food, great work, and obviously providing the goods with that mega scaly £30 mirror earlier, mate.
It's been a good
plus.
day. It's been a good day, definitely, compared to sort of what it was this morning. Waking up on the end of that wind, freezing cold.
It was uninspiring, wasn't it?
Hiding in the bivvy.
Especially as there was nothing showing down there.
know.
It's like, oh no.
We're
But
quite a way away from where we were now as well, and it wasn't nice standing in the wind looking. So
and as soon as we got up to the car park, you even said, didn't you? Got a buzz now. It's great
now.
moving, isn't it?
And then, yeah, we come down here, new release of life. We've seen some fish, shows, tench maybe, but we've had carp. Two 30-pounders.
It's always worth doing, isn't it? If you're sitting there thinking, maybe it's not right, shall I give it a few, shall I give it half a day anyway? If you think, if you're not feeling it, then go on that gut instinct, innit? And
Definitely.
Get yourself out of there.
And, you got to enjoy it. It just wasn't enjoyable.
No.
On that wind.
No, exactly, mate.
It wasn't. It's all, you've got to be warm. You've got to be feeling it, and if you're not feeling it, you're not. And yeah, as soon as we got on that car park and it was warm, we warmed up, we were feeling it.
And then within an hour, we both had a 30-pounder. Yeah,
So.
Happy days. So I gather from what we've been saying, you've been fishing most of your life, haven't you?
All my life, yeah. Started off fishing, like when I was a proper little nipper. And my old man, he had a boat. Saucy Sam, the boat's name was.
Saucy Sam.
Saucy Sam. And yeah, it used to be moored down sandbanks when mooring boats didn't cost you an absolute fortune. But it was to shoot down there, row out to the boat because it was on like a buoy moored up, go out Boscombe Rough like fishing, drifting the wrecks, the reefs, and just for pollock and that. It was good days. Good days. And then got into sort of the motorbikes.
Pretty high level by the sounds of it.
Racing was, yeah.
Travelling the world, weren't you?
Yeah, motocross doing that. America. I used to go to Spain a lot, Belgium.
You're obviously very good at it then to, get to that level and people sponsoring you and paying for you to go and all these
Yeah, I was.
trips.
I did it all my life, and it was just, what I was brought up with. Dad raced, my big brother, I raced, my little brother. It was just in the blood. And yeah, I'm very competitive. Like everything I do, I give it my, And just with that, over the years, I got good. I had people that were backing me, and mum and dad just pushed for me to do what I wanted to do. Like I stopped school because I was racing. That was my life. But I stopped because I had some injuries. I had one crash, which was, it wasn't the end of the racing, but it was near as sort of pushed it to the.
It should
to
have
the
been.
end.
Blimey,
I
what was
know.
it? Both collarbones?
Both collarbones, my spleen, 4, 5, 6 vertebrae in my back.
And he's still got
my
back on the
right
bike.
wrist and my tib and fib in my right leg in one crash.
I ruptured my spleen coming off a moped in Thailand once, and that was me never on a bike again. You're mad.
I didn't know no different, so it was like you're in hospital and like where nothing, I could still feel everything. I had to have bed rest, so bed rest is just literally like, you know, just sitting there.
You must have had someone wiping you and everything.
Oh, so they give you tablets that constipate you so you don't go, to stop you from going, like when you got
So they
bed
haven't
rest and
got
all
it.
that, because I couldn't move my back, look, if I did.
Right.
So they give you things to dry you out, and it was,
Wow.
yeah, it wasn't the nicest times. But I got back on my bike. I was just doing a normal race, over jumped the tabletop, which was the fastest way to do it, and my wrist just didn't fall off, just, you know, couldn't keep up with what I was putting it through, so yeah, it was time to call it a day.
Right. So
Whilst I was still, you know,
time to get more into
moving
the
and-
carp fishing then.
got into the carp fishing. I always used to do a little bit of tench fishing with my old man and that whilst I was riding the bikes and stuff. I knew about carp, going out sort of fishing at a place called Witherington Farm, margin fishing with luncheon meat and sweet corn, but that was no alarms, nothing like that. And then I went to a place called Shearwater. That was my first carp fishing, and yeah, from there just yeah, I absolutely love it.
Excellent. So
Love it.
how
Live for
many,
it.
obviously, you know, you're a full-time worker, jack of all trades by the sound of it. So, yeah, I mean, I imagine these days you've just, you know, mentioned you just bought a house recently. So how much time do you get in? It must be a bit of a squeeze trying to get out.
So the last couple, what we know, nearly April. So last time I was down here was last weekend, but before that was the beginning of December. Since then I've been busy doing, you know, renovating my house to sort of turn it around to sell it. But I've still been doing some fishing. Me and a couple of mates had a trip booked at Churnpool in the Cotswolds. That was January, February time. Another couple of trips here and there with friends and stuff. So I've still done some fishing. But the fishing that I've done has been quite kind actually. It's been all on zigs over the winter, so
Nice. I suppose before, you know, you had your house and your missus and that, it was
fishing all the time. I was just doing as much as I could.
just in between work mostly, or whenever.
In between work and
Weekends
mostly ringing up, doing a sickie the next day because I was on the fish. No. It's sad to think how many days that happened, but that's just because, you know, I was a new member and I was just living and breathing this place. It was it's good when you get that, you know, that feel with somewhere. And I mean, it's like tonight, you know, the fish that are in here, it's got some nice fish in there, and we're the only ones on here, Joe. If we weren't here, the lake would be empty.
No, there's not many places. Well, I don't think there's anywhere in the country with a stock like this.
Not that it wouldn't have any angling
With
pressure
no
on.
anglers on, yeah. So, yeah, awesome.
It's lucky.
Right, well,
We need a
I was thinking, got a bit of a craving for something sweet. Got some of them bad boy think food waffles.
yeah.
Up for one of them?
Biscotti, yeah, mate. Those Biscotti biscuits you brought. God, if they're anything like them.
Well, I noticed they're pretty much gone.
That was
Left them in
Harry,
this
mate.
thing.
Look, that was good, but-
I'm only joking, more than
Yeah,
welcome.
I did
Right,
have
I'll
a
crack some
couple.
waffles on.
Yeah, happy days, Joe. Nice.
Well, definitely a bit chilly this morning, but nowhere near as chilly as it was yesterday on the other side in the wind. Very quiet night, unfortunately. I got up about 4, had a little listen for about 40 minutes. Didn't hear anything show, so I thought, well, I'll get back into bed. I didn't really sleep much after that, to be honest. Just waking up every few minutes, but anyway, I'm up now. Sun's due to come up any minute. And yeah, got my eyes on the water. Been quite a few tench rolling in the last sort of 20 minutes. I've probably seen about 15. And one carp, which is a bit further out than I'm fishing, probably another sort of 40, 50 yards behind
It was only a small one, but it was a carp. Apparently there's a deeper area further out as you go across, so I don't know, I'm half considering putting a single out there. Aside from that, I'll carry on watching the water, and looks like it's going to be a lovely sunny day. Nice and bright. Obviously still going to have a cold wind, but not where we are. We're on the back of it. Lovely, happy times. Lovely, happy times. And hopefully, like I said, you know, it's prime time now. The next 2 hours, surely one of us has got to have a bite. Let's hope it's one of the big ones. Well, I've seen a few carp now. One of them was right over my right-hand rod, and a little bit of bubbling started to come up, so I've got the camera out trying to film that, and then a fish has come up behind. And yeah, there's been 2 or 3 others since, so it's looking good. A lot of the activity has been further than I'm fishing, but as I said, there was definitely something going on over that right-hand rod. Really tempted to just put a single a bit further out, but I also think that I'm probably better off just leaving the disturbance to a minimum and yeah, sitting on my hands, which is always hard to do. I'm not very good at being patient when there's fish showing further out, but I think that's what's called for at the moment. Give it another half hour. Very good chance for a bite this morning, I'm sure. Come on the carp gods. What have you got for us?
Oh, I don't like this. Nah. Yeah, on the bottom, mate, which is nice. That wouldn't have been nice if that was the old zig down there. But yeah, bite off the bottom. Feels like there's a bit of weight there, Joe. It's always nice. Been searching and looking and watching all morning.
It did feel like it was a matter of time, didn't it?
It did, yeah, that sun come up. I said to you, didn't I? I said that when that sun comes up, it should happen. Oh, it's a good fish, I think, Joe. It's a nice fish.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
On that bait as well, which is nice, because you know, the first night you put a load of bait out and nothing happens, it does make you think, but they're big fish.
Just waiting for it to switch on.
It's just, yeah, you know, the spot felt too nice out there for them not to feed. Well, it's a big common, mate. I think it's a 40-pounder, Joe. Don't know, it's close, isn't it? Oh, look at that. It's a lump. He's looking. Go on, nice, Joe. Yeah, that is it. Hey. Cool. Don't let my missus watch that video, because she will see that men can multitask, Joe. Yeah, that's a chunk. Nice. Happy days. Nice.
£46. Wow.
Right. His belly's so
Mate, that is huge.
big.
Huge.
Yes, Joe.
Quite a small tail as well, actually, considering the size of the rest of it. Wow. Look at that. What a
fish.
carp.
What a fish.
Well, that's what we came for. That's why I travelled 4 hours from my home
It is, mate.
Come and see one of these
This is
beasts.
what we moved for. This is what we was praying for. Well, me certainly. I'm going to go down because it's heavy, but lying in bed last night, I heard definitely was a big fish that jumped out around in sort of the open zone, and I was a bit on my feet this morning. Walked to the other side to see if there was any signs of fish there, and just to sort of see if I could, you know, better our chances. But it seemed that waiting on the baited spot with that particle and the boilie, it come good.
Well done, mate.
What a beast. I absolutely love catching carp like this. You cannot beat it. Mwah! It's had everything, Joe.
That's on a cell pop-up, that one?
Sow pop up this one, yeah. Yeah,
Wicked.
over a bit of a mixture of some nutty boilies, some iso sweet, a bit of sow.
On
But
your old faithful
Pick
spinner?
and mix on the spinner, yeah. Yeah, I've got to go down because
Yeah, mate. Have a rest.
heavy.
Well done. Epic carp, that, mate. Really nice.
Look at the belly on it. I mean,
Right.
as it goes, you cannot get better than that. Mega times, mate. So good.
That's what it's all about, mate.
It is. This is the best bit.
Hasta luego, amigo.
Yes, Joe. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Skills, brother.
Times.
Right, confessions of a carper. Yeah, there's quite a few of them I could confess to. Yeah, a few stories I could tell. Oxford, 2001. Yeah, we used to travel down from obviously living in Derby, 120-mile round trip. Usually go on a Friday night after work, and we used to take a dinghy with us. It used to be a big gravel mound out in the lake. I think they called it the Arena. It was documented. Frank Warwick used to be able to cast pop-ups out there, 145 yards, and you know, back then, 20 years ago, 21, 22 years ago, isn't it? We couldn't tackle. We had, me and my mates, we cast 80 yards. You know, we weren't fishing. We couldn't do it. So every night we'd rock up, and the dinghy would be inflated, and wherever we fished, we made sure we had rigs out on this gravel workings. Yeah. You usually took a snide out there as well, because you could guarantee bites by the morning. So you know, you'd always want at least a rod to fish for the day. You'd still have one out there. But yeah, I caught the birthmark linear like that the first time I did it. Yeah, lovely old carp. But yeah, that was a bit naughty really when I think back to it. And yeah, all the people sat fishing, and it was. Yeah, but you're travelling 120 miles. You know, we weren't there to not catch, was we? We needed a bucket of tiger nuts lowered out there by that gravel. So yeah, that was yeah, that's my confession, mate, I think.
Carping calamities. Well, there's been a few hiccups along the way in my carp fishing career. I've never actually hooked myself or anything like that, but one year, a couple of years ago, my good friend, we was fishing a really big pit, wild pit, and he'd actually hurt himself a few times over there with it being such a hardy place, and he'd always say to me, like, you've got to be careful and that if you go over there on your own. So anyway, we've gone over there first time, he's took me over there, and I'm just buzzing away, like thinking, nah, this is all right, and not really paying much attention because it's just a big open pit. You're thinking, what can happen? And you had sort of a drop down to the concrete slope, to the water, like into the lake. And I've got all my rods ready and stuff, put all my buzzers in, put a bit of bait out, and I've grabbed my rod, and like as I've swung down, I've put my hand down on the side and like jumped down, and I sort of didn't realise how far of a drop it was down to the slope. And as I've sort of hopped down, my left hand, the one that didn't have the rod in, my elbow cracked off the concrete lip, and it was like, I don't know what you call this type of, like a pebble dashed concrete edge round, so obviously all the stones. I smacked my elbow, and for the whole couple of days we was up there, I was just literally had to make a sort of makeshift sling, pop loads of paracetamol. To this day, I'm sure like I fractured it. It was like a tennis ball on the end of my elbow, a big cut, like pissing with blood. But yeah, that was dodgy. I think if I was on my own, because he actually was helping me out a little bit, pack stuff away and that, if I was on my own, it would have been a different story if I was having to pack all my gear up without a helping hand. If not, worse, I could have properly broke my arm. So yeah, you've always got to be careful when you're fishing. You just got to take into consideration what might happen. If you're fishing them type of venues, obviously most places don't involve hazards like that, but yeah, that was pretty dodgy, but I'm glad my arm's still in one piece.
Yo, yo, yo. Well, we start this month's diary where we ended last month, as it goes. Yeah, back on my little water that I joined for the winter, which is actually called the Carp Reserve. I've never mentioned the name of it before because I didn't know whether they wanted to keep it quiet or not, but no, it's all good. Yeah, lovely little lake with some cracking fish in it. Obviously I caught the big common last time on the last episode, and yeah, I did come back for one trip since in between, but didn't catch anything. Managed to lose one, unfortunately. But yeah, back down today, and this is kind of like, well, we're getting towards the end of March now, and we've just had that mega lovely warm spell, but we're just getting to the end of it, and this week winter is returning. Yeah, it's looking pretty grim actually. Thursday night, I think the wind chill is going to be -6. So yeah, hopefully the lake I'm off to, just a bit of filming on, is going to be kind to us. But yeah, and hopefully we'll have a nice fire to keep us warm. Anyway, so yeah, for here, I've been here for a couple of hours or so. Got 3 rods out, fishing a swim known as the bridge. Got one over to the right on a washing line, on a little spot that I've been trickling a little bit of bait into every time I've been here lately. One just out short of those, the gap between the 2 islands out to my left here. And that's a lovely little clear spot. The clarity is still not very good here, so yeah, you can't see a lot, but I just found that with a little lead, having a little flick about. And yeah, I didn't expect it to be that clear there, because you get a nice drop, it's a good bit of depth. There's a lot of choddy, weedy stuff around it, but the spot is polished, so I'm guessing that must be one that they've been visiting recently. Then the other one I've got just down the pathway a little bit, just in the margin, so yeah, I've got all my options covered. Not much bait. I think there's been a fair bit going in recently, and I think people get a bit carried away at this time of year. It's easy to, you know, with that sun coming out and feeling the warmth, but reality of it is, you know, like with the hot, still weather we've been having lately, they're not doing a huge amount of moving around in the day, and yeah, mostly just sitting up in snags or in reeds, getting a bit of warmth, soaking up the sun, and not too interested in feeding. So yeah, I think it's better to go little. Less is more at certain times. Quite a lot of the time actually, I find. But so yeah, anyway, I've got about 11 cell 14 millers and similar amount of tiger nuts and a bit of smart liquid, and they've all been scooped out with the old bushwhacker. So yeah, precision baiting with minimal disturbance. Pretty confident. I think something's going to happen tonight or in the morning. Well, hopefully, any time now. Well, it was a quiet night in the old bridge swim. Wasn't a great deal showing, but I did hear about 3 or 4 round this side where I've moved to about half an hour ago. yeah, sort of saw a couple before it got dark, not far off of this margin, and then heard a couple in the evening, and then this morning heard 3, so I thought I can't sit here and ignore that when it was so dead where I was. So yeah, I've come around here for the last couple of hours of the session, just put 3 rods out with the old bushwhacker. They all went down all right actually. One of them went down with a lovely crack, and that's just off a overhang just up to the right here. And then the other 2 are just out in open water out here. There's quite a bit of fizzing going on when I got round here, and a 30-pound comet launched itself out of the water and then smashed into the bottom, and then cauldrons coming up where it had upset the lake bed, you know, so many bubbles, it was a joke. But yeah, Adam Penning was here last night as well, he's not had anything yet. It's kind of, you know, where it's so flat and calm and no wind and everything else, and it has been like this for a while now, the lake just feels a little bit dead, you know. I don't think they're up to a huge amount. But with this cooler weather that we've got, it seems like there's a little bit more going on this morning. So yeah, hopefully we'll have a chance in the old last chance saloon. And then I've got to get home, sort all my stuff out, prep some bait up. Not very good at getting up and going on long drives first thing in the morning. So yeah, I'm kind of dreading it, but I'm also quite excited about the fishing because there's so many big ones in this lake. But I'm also dreading the fact that winter returns tomorrow. Talking like -6 wind chill factor. Wednesday night and Thursday night, I think, and then in the days, like strong, cold northerly winds as well. So, yeah, it's not going to be the most pleasant conditions to be out fishing in, but hopefully the quality of the fishing is going to make up for it. Obviously, it's not going to be easy, especially with them conditions, but Richie, who I'm going with, sounds like he's yeah, got a bit of faith that we're going to get a fish or 2, so fingers crossed. But yeah, I'll let you know if anything happens here in the meantime. Cheers. Come on, the Cat Lake Common. Might have been the one I saw actually. Looked like a mega fish. Oh yeah.
I've got one, Joe. Finally got one.
Good skills.
Absolutely buzzing, mate. So happy. Oh no, he's got away. I've not had this out for a while. God, flipping hell. Well, first fish from a new water, mate, you know. It's such a...
Less of the swearing, please.
Oh, sorry, I told you, I'm so excited. First fish from a new lake is always a mega buzz, isn't it? I was just sat there, I was doing a little interview for a guy who runs an online magazine, and I was just sitting there thinking, right, when I've got off the phone, I'm going to move swim. Shows how good my watercraft is. And then the rod's gone bang. It's like, yeah, just epic. Got a lovely mirror, really lovely mirror. Probably mid-20. It's like, yeah, really, really pleased with that.
Skills, well done, mate.
Cheers, mate. Oh, look at them. That's so quality. Look at that. We've worn away old things, and it's perfect as that. Got a lovely water boatman. Pull it across the mat, put him back in the lake. Right, his other side's got a couple of lovely little scales on it, but all right, mate. All right. Tail porn, head porn, body porn. You are exactly what I came here for. That is just for you, blacktail. She's going to take her down away from the holding area. I don't want her sitting with her mates and upsetting them. mate. What a gorgeous fish. Yes. Never get tired of it, mate. That is just a thing of beauty. Yes.
Buskins.
Cheers, Joe.
Yo, yo, yo. Right, back on the old St Ives buzz. Been wanting to get up here the last couple of weeks, but was busy doing other filming. So, yeah, it's absolute pleasure to be back. Forgot how much I missed sitting on a big pit. I only got here sort of, well, about 2 hours ago. And we've got a new southeasterly today, sort of up to about 17 miles an hour. It's the first time it's blown sort of this way with that sort of much oomph for a little while, and obviously on a lot of lakes 17 miles an hour is not actually that much, but on here it gets a bit of a run up. So yeah, they seem to like it when there's a wind pushing up this bank. So this was my first port of call. Probably would have headed toward the beach first, but there was a guy already in there. So yeah, rather than walk around for hours, I thought, well, we've only got this wind for about 24 hours and it is a daytime bite water in general, so I thought I'm just going to get them out where I think they'll be and obviously sit and watch the lake and go from there. So yeah, it looks bang on. Got 4 rods out, 2 just sort of this side of where a bar ends, and then 2 on a bar just out to the left there, all single hook baits at the moment. So if they are mooching about, they've only got that one thing to be zoned into. Obviously the old bright hook baits in this weather stand out a mile off, so if they see them, if they swim over them, they'll see them, and hopefully they'll want to investigate. But yeah, that's the plan at the moment. Aside from that, we're going to sit back and watch the water and hopefully see a sign or 2. Come on, the old Friendly Common, back on the mission, and I. So Friendly Common and Starburst are the 2 that I'd most like to catch out of here. However, there is another big common which hasn't been out for 3 years called Split Dorsal, and yeah, that was £39 last time it was out, so almost definitely a 40 pounder, and a rare one at that. Buzzing. It's good to be back, it's good to be back. Well, good morning. Quite old night. I got up at 3 o'clock. Thought it'd be worth sitting up for an hour and seeing anything showing, but there wasn't. Then I got up sort of half hour before sunrise, about 5:30. And yeah, it's been a really calm morning. I've been sitting here watching. The only sort of shows I've seen have been a long way away and out of reach of anywhere. Which is kind of quite typical for here in the mornings, but they don't tend to stay out there in the day, so hopefully it's going to get a bit warmer today. There's going to be another wind pushing up this end. Hopefully they'll be getting out, flexing their pecs and looking for a bit of grub. So yeah, I'm not too despondent yet. Going to have to give it at least the morning before I consider a move. There's only one other area that I'd think about moving to without sort of seeing anything there, and that's just because it's a large sort of shallow area, so I think that area kind of wakes up a bit earlier than the rest. But there's a grebe out here and it keeps acting a bit funny looking down and that, and yeah, maybe there is a carp or 2 about. Oh, what's that in the margins? Must have been a pike or something, big old vortex. Anyway, I'm going to continue watching the water and hopefully one of these rods might rattle off out of nowhere. We can but try. See you, Jimmy. Well, sat there all morning this morning,
and it was completely flat calm. I could see right down the lake, and other than a handful of sets of ripples, which I couldn't tell you what they were, I didn't see anything. No bubbles going on, and there was 12, at least 12 rods out down on that end bank, and they are pretty line shy in here. And with no one else up this half of the lake, I thought, right, I'm moving up, further up, sort of about 3/4 of the way up here. It's an area I've done well in the past. Out the back there, where the boys are, for some reason they just seem to like that area. So even when you can't find them, and sometimes you just have to play the guessing game, you know. And that's, well, I'm not fishing over there, obviously. I've put braid on my on 2 of my rods, the Fox 40-pound stuff, and I've managed to get to about 30 wraps. Seems to be like maxing out at about that, really. I think I need to go and have some casting practice somewhere. Yeah, get myself into the flow of it a little bit, because I've never really been a big caster, but I've generally always used fluorocarbon, which obviously is not conducive for casting at all. But it surprises me that I can only get 5 wraps more than I can with the fluorocarbon, with the braid. So anyway, they're out there, 2 of them over that, towards that direction. Then got a spot out to the right here on one of the bars, and then one out to the left in about 8 foot of water. Nice, really smooth, clear spot, just the other side of a load of onion weed. And I've just put 3 or 4 little spombs of mixed bait on top of them, you know, a bit of particle, and a couple of different sizes of cell. So yeah, that's the plan for now. Pretty knackered actually, after getting up in the night and then having an early start. Oh, what was that? Might have been a cormorant. I just saw the back end of something black, but could be a cormorant. I'll certainly be keeping an eye out. Well out of my casting range anyway, but yeah, no birds come up yet. I shall keep on the lookout. I have had a couple of little liners since I've been in here as well, so maybe there is a few moving around this shadow area, as I hope there would be. Oh yeah, cormorant. Bloody cormorants. Guten Morgen. Well, I'm afraid no carp to report. Saw one this morning, right out the back of the buoy line. But yeah, it's another lovely start to the day. It's been a nice sunrise. Last night in the evening, something come through quite close, and then something else followed it really fast. I thought, that's not right. And then I heard the noise. Bloody otters. So I got my torch out, grabbed a storm pole, went off down the path, and yeah, followed them all the way along the bank, thinking, right, if one comes out, I'm going to do it. No, it was just for protection more than anything. Anyway, obviously they shot off up the bank and stayed in the water, and I think they were having a fight or something. They were making out of a noise. At first I thought maybe they had a fish, you know, so I was like, oh God. Anyway, I couldn't see a fish, and yeah, like, there's odd noises they were making, so either they were at it or they were having a fight. Well, I'm hoping to see some activity. From what I remember, this wasn't really a night area anyway. So yeah, hopefully they're going to appear today. As I said yesterday, you know, there is an area out here, it's a bit shallower, and I think they've been spending a lot of their time out the back by that buoy line. I think when the lake gets a bit of pressure, they tend to stay over there more, and when the otters have been on, they don't tend to show much. Puts them right on edge, as you can imagine, really. And they've just dyed it in the last few days, so I've got all the excuses under the sun for not catching. Right, time for a coffee, I think. Get the old coffee buzz on the go. Well, another glorious morning. Unfortunately, another unglorious blank. Yeah, seems like the lake's pretty switched off at the moment. Seen one show this morning and that was right the other side of the buoy line, so right in the out of bounds. Last night, very little going on. Oh, apart from there was a bit of a disturbance, like something come through quite close, quite fast, and then something else followed it and I heard the old oh no, bloody otters. So I grabbed a storm pole and my old bird torch and run up the path, smashing the trees, and yeah, I mean, like I took the storm pole, you know, just in case one of them wanted to have it. I thought, you know, well, to be fair, like one of them I reckon I could take with my bare hands, but two of them, wow, yeah, no, you're gonna need some sort of tool, ain't you? So yeah, first thing I could find to grab at hand was a storm pole, but they didn't want none of it. No, they were just stayed in the water, followed them all the way up the bank for about 100 yards. So yeah, basically last year or the year before, it was clear to see that when the otters were about, the fish were not showing, which is obvious, you know, you can't blame them, can you? Don't want to give themselves away that easily. It puts them on edge, obviously probably puts them off feeding because they're not relaxed, and yeah, that's my excuse for this session anyway. Coffee time. I've got some nice new stuff which was sent through to me. This is a new brand from in the carp fishing industry, Proper Drop. Was something I thought about doing myself a while ago actually. A couple of years ago I was talking to Alan Blair about it. I was like, no mate, coffee's the next big thing on the bank accessory. You know, with the press and doing your own blends and all that. But yeah, it seems like there's a few people doing it now, so yeah, I missed the boat on that one, didn't I? Never mind. Quite happy to try anyone else's. Obviously plenty of brands are available, so if you fancy sending me through some coffee, I'll give it a go. Right, eyes back on the water, eyes on the prize, the keen eyes get the prize. Wow, look at that. Mega long, 26-pound long reach common. Over the moon with that one. Yeah, proper buzz to get one on my first trip back this year. As I say, last year it was a bit of a struggle. Oh, well happy. Right, a couple of quick snaps with you, mate, and we shall get you back. Go on the single hook baits. Right, so a little story for you, a little tale of misfortune. I went to put that fish back, and sometimes when there's a nice sort of background for a returner, I put the tripod in the water so I can do returner shots, selfie type. So I thought, yeah, I'll do that, and stepped down into the water, and it was a little bit deeper than I thought it was, and the bottom was a little bit softer than I thought it was as well. So I've gone down with the camera and tripod in one hand and the fish in the other hand, stepped into the water and just gone straight under. The water was so cold, the natural reaction was to go so I've just ended up breathing in loads of water straight away, and then my head's under and I put my hand up. Like, all I can think is this camera's got to stay dry. I don't mind semi-drowning, but the camera must stay dry. And I managed to keep it up from like Excalibur out of the water. And then got out and, oh, God,
definitely caught my breath. I wouldn't have liked to have gone in any earlier than this time of year, that's for sure. I mean, even last week when it was cold, whew, no chance. So yeah, basically stripped off. Luckily I had a nice warm jumper, the Nash Snood hoodie, which I've just got, and I'll tell you what, next time you're in a tackle shop, try one of them on, because you'll realise that I'm not just plugging something for the sake of it. That is a mega warm, cosy hoodie, and all the zero tolerance stuff has got this lovely sort of soft fleece stuff on the inside. So yeah, check them out next time you're in a tackle shop, and I'll bet you buy one. So anyway, yeah, had that luckily. That was still dry. Left my receiver with the guy next door, ran back to the car, got me salopettes and some dry socks. And here we are. I mean, it's a few hours later now because I did actually kill my other mic and this one was dead, so I've had to charge this one up. So yeah, I'm warm and dry now. And I keep getting these mad, crazy liners. I don't know what it is. I think it might be pike, whether it's pike just sort of like backing into the line with their pecs or sort of swimming into it, or I don't know. I really don't know. It's really odd behaviour. But I'm convincing myself it's everything but carp. Unfortunately, the boats have come out now, so I've had to pull the rigs in a lot closer. I was fishing sort of quite far out, and yeah, with that braid, I don't trust it. Plus, we're not supposed to fish more than 40 yards out when the boats are out anyway, so I pulled them into the legal limit, which is not a bad thing. I think this time of year, once it starts to warm up, they use this bank as a bit of a roadway. There's a bar that runs all the way down it, only sort of 20, 25 yards out. So yeah, got them on there. Hopefully it'll be a passing fish or two. I have my eyes on the water. Might even go for a little mooch at some point. It's a nice day for it. And obviously there's plenty of water around here to mooch. Lovely jubbly. I am knackered though, hardly slept at all last night. Probably got about an hour and a half of solid sleep, and that's about it. No more coffee for me today, and an early night tonight. I was going to go home today, but I thought, wow, you're all right. You've got a party at the weekend. Tomorrow's Friday, so I've still got a good night's sleep at home in my own bed. And yeah, party on downtown in London. Got a boat party that I'm putting on. Should be quite good. All sold out as well. Happy days. Right, kettle on, I guess.
Hindsight of life. One for fishing and one for life in general. Fishing one, well, the biggest edge you could ever have in carp fishing is watercraft. And once you learn to master that, I think you've opened up the box and you're on the way to success. So try and spend as much time, you know, improving your watercraft and learning about the waters that you fish, the fish's habits, the fish's routines, the weather conditions, everything to do with watercraft will absolutely project you into becoming a good angler. It could save you many hours and many blanks just being really good at watercraft. So before you go out and get your favourite rods and your favourite alarms and everything else, try and put a real lot of effort into your watercraft, and honest to God, you'll find fish that other people haven't seen, and you'll be catching them rather than spending hours and hours and hours and hours just wasting your time at the other end of the lake. And I would say if you want to become a good angler, then 100% watercraft is the key to your success. And in life, hindsight in life, if you're lucky enough to meet a good woman like I did, they're worth their weight in gold, mate, believe you me. A very good woman is hard to find, so if you do get one and she's a real good one, just keep her happy and don't upset her, and you'll have a good life.
I think what made me fall in love with the sport of angling as a whole, not just carp fishing, is the magnetic transfixing appeal of water and what might lie beneath it. It all starts there. What's living there, things that aren't meant to be seen, things that aren't meant to be touched. secretive things and trying to make them for a moment or two your own, to hold and touch and admire and covet. Yeah, it definitely starts there. The mystery and the awe and the appeal and the lure of water itself is I think where the passion begins. What keeps it alive to this day, I think, is, and my angling passion is very, very much alive, and I think for someone who has all of his income streams related in one way or another to the angling industry, I'm very fortunate that I do burn at least as bright now as I always have, maybe more. I've always been hugely passionate about my fishing, and I think when I've looked at other people that have been in at the sharp end for a long period of time, a lot of people get jaded, drift away, play golf. Some of them just go and watch football matches every weekend and claim to be mad keen passionate anglers when really they go very, very little. And it's a very common thing, and maybe it's just human nature, but I'm very, very grateful it's never happened to me. Part of the reason, I think, is because I get really excited about the fish itself, and that means that if I catch like I've said before, one of the greatest fish I've caught, the lake behind me has got a common carp in that's been over 55 pounds. And I've caught some of his brothers and sisters up to almost 50 pounds. But in a lot of ways, the greatest fish I've caught out of this lake is a 17 pound, 4 ounce common carp that no one knew existed. And he's probably never been bigger than that. And he's probably older than all the other carp in here, and he very rarely eats bait, and no one's ever touched him, let alone seen him. And I think the minute you start getting disappointed at the size of a carp you've caught, then that's it. Your exit strategy is planned there for you. To me, an 18 pound, 17, 15 pound carp laying on the mat, even to this day, having done it for 35 plus years, still looks to me like a good sized fish. And I think that is one of the key things that keeps me going. I'm never disappointed with the size of anything that I catch. I can think of doing self-takes of a particular fish down at Chiller Mill one winter a couple of years ago. I had it in the sling, a couple of members came past and they're like, "Oh, you got one?" I said, "Yeah, I'm just going to do some self-takes." I didn't tell them what I had in the sling. And they said, "Oh, is it right if we hang around and watch?" And I was like, yeah, you wait till you see his carp. It's absolutely stunning. Didn't even think to my mind that it was small. It was 11 pound, this common. And it was the most perfect formation of a little carving of a common you could ever imagine. And when I got him, it was like the sling come out of the water empty, and they thought it got away. And I laid it down, I got out this little common, and I did all these self-takes, and I was drooling over this fish. And whilst I was doing the pictures, they just both walked away without saying a word. And I think having that appreciation and admiration for the carp itself, regardless of size, and it's not something you can fake, you either got it or you haven't. And I just love them all, and that's where the passion and the drive is rooted initially in the mystery of water, but then in appreciating all the carp. And like I say, the best carp I've caught this year, I've had him up to almost 50 pound. Best one I've caught this year, 17 pounds 4 ounces. And I love that, and I know that because I've got that, I won't be playing golf next year instead of carp fishing.
Well, I'm afraid that's it for this month, but we'll be back in 4 weeks' time. Yeah, I get quite a few messages from people saying, "When's the next show out? When's the next show out?" Well, it is every 4 weeks on a Sunday, 6 p.m. on YouTube. And before I sign off, once more, just a huge thank you to that tiny little percentage of you who are kind enough to support this show. I do appreciate it. It's a lot to ask, you know, giving people something for nothing and then asking the contribution towards it. And obviously you've got to go and click here and add some details. So yeah, it's a big ask, but those of you who do, you are very special, unique people, and I doff my cap to you. And once again, massive thanks for your continued support. So, have a fantastic month, and I'll see you in 4 weeks' time.